Okay, let's get on business. Yeah. So I don't know how to start with this. We can start, for example, with the diagram that's uploaded in the GitHub.
Okay.
And from there, we can say, okay, this is what we're using from Azure, and all this. Do you have access to? Do you have a read-only access to our Azure?
Yes,
account?
I do have read access to the Azure, and I'm gonna go to the portal right now.
Okay.
Just if I need to make notes on what you guys have in Azure, that way I can track that. So I'm just logging into the Azure portal right now, just for reference. But
Perfect.
like you say, we can start on the diagram.
Yeah. So I just put the link of the diagram right on the chat. This diagram is very high level, but at least is some starting point. Just to let you know, there's like a division where we have some services. We have them on Azure, and then the rest are on S3 on AWS. And that division would be where it says Tote or Tote and Hippogriff. Those are all the Rails apps are on AWS, all the Ruby on Rails apps, and then the rest are hosted in Azure. Okay.
And then, so if we start at the Reader web app, and maybe we can start at a high level, the purpose of that block, that component, and then we can have a high level conversation. We can look at what you have on the Azure portal related to that Reader web app, and then we go from there.
Okay, so this Read web app, it's our portal to all the web users that wants to read our content. Okay, so it's a web app that has that serves all the books and that are on our collection. Okay, and also handles users, authentication, and everything. Also, everything is handled by this web app. Okay.
I have a question. So people doesn't need to go to that public website at the bottom in order to do any reading or to consume this material.
No.
They don't.
Let's put hosts or names to the services. The public website is the one that it's one in WordPress that we use for it's a blog where we say what we do. It's a website that is accessible where we say where our communication team says or explains everything that WordReader is doing at this moment. If you go to www.wordreader.org, that would be our public website.
That would be the public. Okay.
Yeah, and then we have read.wordreader.org. That's the web app for only for reading, and that's where we get the most traffic. Currently, we're getting the most traffic. That's kind of a lot to this web portal. Okay, to this web app.
And people, do they get that URL from the public website, or how do people know about that Reader web app URL?
Okay, that is most of it. We are right now we have like one. Well, we are in the Opera Navigator, Opera Mini for Android, and this is mostly on our target countries, where we have speed dial. That's like a shortcut for our website, and we get advertisement there. So most of the traffic that we are getting, we're getting it through there. Okay.
Okay, and what was the URL for the Reader app, Reader web app?
It's read.worldreader.org.
Read.worldreader.org. Okay.
And if you try to access now from a browser, from a PC browser, it won't be, you won't see anything. You need to access from a mobile phone or just simulate that you are mobile in your PC.
Okay.
Okay. That's
perfect.
So
okay.
there you see. So there you can see a list. Well, it's the list of books that are available are customized depending on the country you're accessing with. Okay, then there's also some collections that we try to promote, and then there's lists of books, and there are all categories you can search, filter by categories. There's with that you can access all the content on all the different books on our library, on our catalog.
Okay, and that's the web client application. That's where you see the catalogs and everything, right? From that web client application.
And it's all mobile based.
It's all mobile based. Okay, and the web client is only .NET, like a Windows platform. That the ones that access the Read web app. Because if you have an Android, then you go through the user API. Is that correct? Or can an Android phone?
This would be that the web app also connects to the user API in order to handle the different users. You can log in through Google, Facebook. That you can use your own email and password, and then so the user API is the one that handles all these authentication. Then also we are recording all the reading statistics about the users, where we know how is there, because if you begin interacting with our website, even with a reading web or with an Android client, both of them you will have a progress. You can say, hey, you know how many pages you read by day, you know how many books have you read, and there's this thing to making it funny, to making it people to return to our website or app. Okay, by encouraging them for saying that they. So this user API also handles all the reading statistics for all the users.
Okay.
And then we have the Android client that access directly to through the user API and then through the BMS API. BMS API is what we call Book Management System. That is an API that handles all the actual books and all the files. Also that that we are working with EPUBs, so all the files are hosted in all the files are uploaded to this API. We have also where we store all the metadata of the books, all the categorization, all the tags, things like publisher, authors, and all this. This is handled. All of it is handled by the BMS API.
And then let me ask you this: the web client, do they access this BMS as well?
Yeah, there's this also concept that's called BMS UI. That's single page application. That's is written in JavaScript that access this API and also has secure access to be able to upload and to manage all the books.
Okay, and that's how the web client, the .NET web client consumes it, like the catalogs or information and all that information. But it's the same for whether you have an Android phone or a classroom. They all interact with this BMS to consume the catalog. They interact with the user API for authentication and statistics. And everybody also handles the read web app. Is that correct? Or just the web client? The .NET web client is the only one who communicates with the read web app.
Okay, yeah. So the web client is the only one that connects to the read web app. Okay, maybe here there's this diagram maybe it's not as clear as it should, but I mean so read.whatreader.org communicates to the read web app, and the read web app is the one that is it's like a proxy between among many other things that communicates to the BMS API and gets all the lists of books, all the catalogs, and even the original all the files that belong to the book and everything. That's handled by the BMS API. The read web app is like a proxy with much more logic, but it's a system that is between the final user and the BMS API. That's only for web.
Okay, only sense? For web. Oh, yeah, only for web, and okay, yeah, because when you say mobile device, go ahead.
Yeah, and then the Android client communicates directly to the BMS API without passing to the read web app.
Got it. Okay. And then the reader web app just, behind the scenes communicate with the BMS. That's the arrow going down, all the way down from the reader web app to the BMS. That's how the web client consumes the BMS data, right? Yeah. Through that connection happening over there. And then, okay, so got it. But the Windows, the mobile, the Android device, they don't need to go to the read web app. They can go directly to the user API and the BMS ecosystem.
That's it.
Perfect. So we have then read web app. That's a proxy, and it produces an interface to the BMS system.
Yeah, it's not a proxy. That's much more logic than a simple proxy. But to simplify it, yeah, it can be thought as a proxy. But it has its own database. It has its own. Also, it does some content optimization. Okay, because just to get more in-depth detail, for example, an EPUB it's like a zip file of HTMLs and images and CSSs. That's the content of an EPUB.
And where is that file stored? Is that on the BMS system or is that on the reader web app?
Yeah, the thing is that it's kind of mixed at this moment. Okay. There's this EPUB management that is called over there. There's a new, on the third column, there's this EPUB management that it's a new kind of API that books are sent there and they are processed over there. They are extracted, all the content is extracted to a blob storage in Azure.
Okay.
And then also there we run some optimization scripts to reduce the quality or to have several image qualities depending on the bandwidth of the client. We serve one or the other one, or one image or the other one to make it as fast as possible. Okay, there's a lot of logic over there.
But it's basically splitting the content between the EPUB management and the share books DB. Is that accurate or not?
Yeah, more or less. More or less. It's these arrows are not that. The system is kind of a little bit more complex than this, but the thing is, both the BMS API and the EPUB management have read and write access to the shared books DB. That's why it's called over there.
Okay.
This is because historically there's been plenty of people developing. There are different vendors developing different things, and it turns out to be at this moment this is the picture. Okay. This is not a good picture, but we are having two different systems or two different APIs or services that are sharing the same database to be able to one of them handles all the metadata, and the other one, the EPUB management, handles the EPUB files and zips all the EPUB files and does all the transformations to the images and all the rest. Okay, and all this is stored in a shared, in a blob storage that all the different services have access to the same blob storage, and then this is how everything is right now, more or less.
Okay.
Mixed together.
And that blob storage that you're referring to is represented here where it says share books DB. That would be, can that represent the blob storage, or is this database has a different purpose?
No, the blob storage would be this content and storage inside the EPUB management box. This content and storage is what I'm calling the blob storage, and then the DB, the database, is the one that is having. It's an MS SQL database with a table of books, all the metadata of the books, then everything to handle collections, tags, and everything that's on the database too.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. So to tweak even a little bit more all this, then because let's say because we have two different types of web readers or web clients. Let's say the smartphone clients that uses Chrome or even Safari or Opera or whatever, that are browsers that allow JavaScript and everything. So yeah, now I see your screen.
You see my screen? Okay, perfect. I want to make sure. Okay, perfect. Okay, super. So where do we start?
Okay, so please go to, let's go, okay, so we have, please go to the top right and see if you, in what directory you are, in the other side, the top right, yeah. And you're in, okay, warreader.org, is your directory. Okay, so please go to the all resource app services, to the app services one. Let me see if you see all the same as I do. So it's the API, the WordReader API, CMS, web portal. Okay, so yeah, perfect. Okay, so we have, let's take out the external API. Is something is something new that we are working on at this moment. Okay, this is still under development, and it's not part of our architecture at this moment. So what we call, well, actually we have three. Everything is multiplied by 3 because we have 3 environments. So we have development environment, we have QA, and then we have production prod. Okay. So everything is, yeah, you will see the same name 3 times. One for dev, one for QA, and one for prod. For example, the WordReader API, that would be let me, 1 second. WordReader API. Check. Okay, yeah. So this is what's related with the BMS, what we're calling the BMS API. That's Word Reader API.
Okay.
Okay. Then Word Reader CMS UI. That's the BMS UI box. That's the JavaScript application that we were talking about before.
This is
Okay, so
this one at the Reader web app. This is what the CMS.
No. So the CMS UI. Sorry, but also these namings aren't. There's no naming convention, and so everyone and there's plenty of people has named but the thing is, so you see the box on the first column that's BMS UI.
BMS
UI in the first column in the client side.
On the client side, yes, BMS UI. Okay.
Yes. So this is related to CMS UI.
That is connected to CMS UI. Okay, so this is connected to the CMS UI. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So this is like connected to the BMS API. This is connected to the BMS API, right?
Yeah. So the BMS API, it is Word Reader API, and then CMS UI or BMS UI, it's CMS UI.
Okay, so BMS UI, this is a web application that is running on the CMS. Got it. And Word Reader API is this BMS API. Is that correct?
API. Perfect. Yeah.
BMS API. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay.
Okay. So then we have you see there Word Reader web portal. Okay. The web portal is the web app that's on the other. Yeah.
This one, the read web app.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Web portal.
That's a web portal.
And that's hosted on .NET, and that's So that's what we have.
There's only one of them, one for everything, or do you have one for dev, one for?
Then we have this. You see that the WR portal is Sandbox 2, and staging. These are also the ways of the ways of the naming convention on that. It's the same, but they're named differently.
Got it.
Okay. So then we have the user API, a little lower. That also we have three environments.
Okay.
And then the other one is content API prod. Okay, that I don't know what it is for. Okay. I think it's. I would need to look that. I'm sorry.
What about this?
Mostly out of my scope.
Do you know what is WR UI dev?
Yeah, that's that is the UI, the BMS UI for the development environment for the BMS UI. Okay. So yeah.
Hey, Ramon.
Yep.
Let's go. Let's go ahead and list all the things. I mean, let's create a Confluence page where we document. I mean, most of these are pretty obvious, but let's create a page where we document the ones that are not on. You and Flavia can go and figure out what they are.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, some of these might legacy and should just be shut down. But I want to be very careful.
No, there's no legacy unless this one that I don't know yet. The web portal content API, I'm not sure on that's one, but the rest are all under use at this moment.
Okay.
But yeah, of course, I'm maybe instead of doing this or Gus, you tell us, but maybe it's better for me to create to write that down and put all the different and distribute all the different components.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, you can add maybe the URL or just another line on this diagram, expand on this diagram and just put something here. I don't know, whatever is easier.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so yeah, just to keep with the Azure part, then we have also plenty of SQL databases that are being used by all these services. And it's mostly, more or less the same. We have a database for QA prod and dev for the DMS API, then for the web portal, then for the user API. And then there are plenty here. There is legacy. Yes, I think there's also the log API that we haven't talked about. Oh, it's not an API; it's a log database. But I mean, yeah. So here there are some legacy databases that we are not using anymore.
Okay.
But maybe that's something that's definitely something that I have to take a look at. And then we have one other thing to look at in this moment. How is that called?
What is the storage blob? The stuff that you have the content.
The content. You go to storage accounts.
Okay.
Yeah, there's accounts, and then here there are. Most of them are used by the app services, but then there are some specific that would be. Again, this naming convention is WorldReader API. No, it's WorldReader prod. That's the main one. The WorldReader prod. No, that's not that one. Just a little bit below. WorldReader prod.
Yeah.
There you go. That one.
Okay.
This would be the main one where we are storing all the EPUBs and unzipping the EPUBs and treating all the content over there.
Okay.
And then I think there's one more that is the one that is being used by the web portal, but I don't remember right now the name of it. I don't have it localized.
Okay.
Okay. And then there is one last piece of software that is under a virtual machine that would be the EPUB processor. And let me see if this is WorldReader Android API. I would believe, I think it's. Let me check if that or not. 1 second. Let me look. Redis. Or no, this is a Redis stuff. No. Where it is this? Storage virtual machines. Let me look for it. No, so it's not a virtual machine, it is a cloud service.
Okay.
It is a cloud service. Not app service, no. Well, if you go to all resources, it's easier to go from there. All resources, then type CMS over there. Filter by CMS.
This one.
And then, there's that one, the prod. Well, that's the dev and then the prod. Yeah, this is where this is hosting a Java application. That's the one that is working with processing all the EPUBs and all.
Okay. And what kind of processing is doing on that? What is the job of that virtual machine?
Well, it receives the EPUB, it unzips it, and then it goes through all the images of the EPUB, and then creates different resolutions and qualities for each image, and that would be it. Yeah, and that's it. So it unzips and recreates the images to different resolutions and qualities.
Okay, and basically depending on the device, you may send one version or another, right? If it's the web, if it's the Android, you may be dealing with different.
Yeah, and then, for example, if the resolution is the device, but if the device is a tablet and it has higher resolution, then we send a higher resolution image, and the opposite. So we have like 5 different resolutions, and we have 3 different image quality.
Oh, I see.
It all depends on the bandwidth of the client that it's using. Bandwidth and resolution of the client.
Okay, because and all that information is on the metadata, the database that you have information for every EPUB, then you'll have all that information about so resolutions available, or to handle that logic, right? Depending on which device you may pull.
Yeah, then. Yeah, depends. Well, there's one part on the client. There's logic on the client also, because depending on the client sends its resolution, and depending on the resolution, then we serve one image or the other.
Okay. Okay. And then are you guys using? Well, at this time you're not using content delivery network. Basically, everything is stored in these storage accounts over here.
We're not using CDNs. Not.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, because everything is served directly. Okay. We have thought about maybe using CDNs, but at this moment, because most of our public our users are in lower bandwidth. With low quality bandwidth, and so it doesn't make any difference to have a CDN at this moment. When we move to better networks, then maybe we can try on that. But having a CDN with this high latency, having a CDN or not, it makes no benefit.
I mean, the idea of the CDN is just to have the content closer to the users. Like if you have somebody in Africa and you're serving your storage from Africa, it's precisely because the latency and everything is lower. Then by delivering from there, they will have a better experience than if you're pulling the content from Germany or the United States, right? But it depends on where the consumers are. If they're all spread around the globe, that's basically what you're doing.
Yeah, but my point is that for example, the latency, if the latency can be 100 milliseconds or 2, even half a second. Let's say that the latency is they're transporting the image from the it's half a second, but then maybe you have 3 seconds or 4 seconds downloading the image just because of the network. And well, actually, that's something we've been thinking of, and we maybe with this we've been doing some really good work on optimizing the content, and maybe in the future that's the next step. Maybe we cannot reduce the latency as much, we cannot and that is our next step. But at this moment, we are not.
Yeah, you got so many priorities and some other stuff that probably you want to concentrate. If you say like most of the work that you guys are doing today, where is that taking place from all these different components?
Yeah, there's part of it. It's on the Android tab because and then part of it is on the DMS API, and then another one is on the EPUB processor. Okay, so we are focusing on improving the speed of the Android client, and that's what. So it's like so different. We've been doing some changes in all these three components.
Okay. Yeah, and okay. Yeah, this is very good.
Okay, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I put mute. There's people around me.
Okay.
I don't want to. I was looking at the diagram and trying to understand. This is really good, high level overview of everything that you guys have, and this is very, very, very important because I'll have I mean I don't know what time it's like to I have another meeting, but at least I do have more questions, of course, and I want to prepare them and digest all this information. As for example, one of my tasks, I'm just going to be looking into the DRM solution and how do we plug that stuff over here. And I have been reading a lot of stuff, and I do have some questions of potential, where that enforcement and stuff should take place. But let me digest all this information that you presented today. I'm going to write down some questions, and maybe if we need to go deeper in specific components, perhaps you can spare another 30 minutes or 1 hour diving deeper into different portion. But let me ask you a quick question. So how many people are currently developing and working is part of the team doing some work on these efforts?
Okay. So we have like 3 different teams, and 2 of them are vendors outside for Reader. Okay. There's this. Actually, you can see that on the diagram. Okay. We have Bitfield that are the ones that are the ones that are developing in .NET and that own the Read web app and the user API. And then we have the Android client that's developed by also Mobile Just, that's a third party, and then the rest it's from us. Okay, so I would say the BMS UI, BMS API, EPUB management, and the database, of course. All that it's on our hand. And right now we are 3 people in the team, and we are about to hire 2 more. But that's taking a little bit longer than expected. But that's more or less the size. And directly working on backend, it's 3 people at this moment. It would be 3.
Now, the people who are maintaining the source code for all these different teams, like the one maintained by WorldReader versus the code maintained by Bitfield, or the code maintained by Mobile, are they all in one location, or everybody's maintaining their own code base and making updates to the Azure platform as needed?
So the Bitfield, it's in I forgot. It's not they're not in Barcelona. They are in
To be clear, everything is on GitHub. So everybody updates to GitHub and everything comes from GitHub.
So that's the same portal that we have access to, right? This.
Yeah, and everything is on the same Azure account. Yeah.
The same. Okay, perfect. And then, okay, yeah, it's good. And but they are all spread across different regions, right? Not everybody's in Barcelona, or not everybody's in, you can have teams in the US or.
Yeah, there's two of them. Well, we are mostly around Europe, in the Europe time zone, because I think it's Sweden. One team is in Sweden, and the other one is in Barcelona, and then we have one in one of the developers of WorldReader is in Ghana, but that's mostly all in the same time zone.
Okay. Now, how often do you guys push update into production? Like once you add a change into the dev, how long does it take to, let's say, a new requirement make it to production?
Okay, not as often as we would like, of course. It's always a point of improvement and that, but let's say we work with the sprints, we work with agile, a Scrum methodology, and the sprints are for 3 weeks, and usually between we start a feature and we end it, and then it gets tested and gets into production. Then that can be 3 weeks, yeah, more or less the time of a sprint.
That's close, like development
it
testing.
Depends also in the. Yeah, that's development testing, and then there's this. We use this QA to make our key users to test it, and then once it's tested by two different teams, then it's deployed into production.
Okay.
As this said, then we have the Android client that has its own it's different. I would say, how do you say this, methodology of it's different velocity, I would say. Okay, and then the web app, it's mostly more or less the same. I'm not that sure because I'm not in charge of the web app as it is, but yeah, I would say a frequency of 3 weeks. That's more or less the average.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I'm trying to understand the whole process and just have general questions for the team. But I think for now I'm good. I'm gonna digest.
I would take.
Go ahead.
Okay, let me ask one last thing, because if you are going to think or be just evaluating the part of the DRM, I think this is important. The DRM. Okay, so we are creating a new product that we call Classroom. So it will be consuming this API, but maybe a new one, and we are trying to tidy everything up. So the thing is that the DRM, what we need is more or less actually what Dror told, but we will be needing something to be able to codify or encode or encrypt the different EPUBs, and we will be working with EPUBs directly. Okay, this is important. We won't be using HTML or this other content. So we're going to create a new software that's going to be handling all this new product that we are calling Classroom. Okay. So so the DRM solution would be based on EPUBs instead of these HTML files. Make sense?
But I have a question. Like, for example, the goal for the DRM solution will be to cover all these scenarios. or are we talking about just for the new system? Like, in other words, it should
Okay,
work for
that's a
web
good
client.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, it should work for web client, for Android client, and this new system, the school.
Okay, at this point, I would
So
say
it's,
no. We only need it for the new system. Do
Okay.
you
well,
agree, George?
it's a complicated answer. I mean, right now we're focused on the new system. Eventually, we might apply it to other pieces. Probably not for the web, just the general Android client. We might decide. Part of the reason for DRM and the importance is some publishers won't give us books. We have DRM, and so once we have DRM in place, we can approach them and ask them for books, and if they agree, then we can consider putting these books in more places. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but here's a sample. Why am I asking that question? Because the architecture, there's a huge impact. How do we design this architecture? If we have full control for a new solution, we have, we can go with the easy path. But if we, and let's talk about just what Raymond described, what the Android client, that you are maybe just passing text and images without, passing the markup content that you're displaying on your client, as it compares to content being displayed on the web client that you may be passing, for example, the full HTML and then rendering, the full markup of the EPUB. Questions from the DRM perspective is, okay, where are we controlling the policy? Do we control it on the client, or do we control it from the server side, as far as enforcing the policies and saying, yeah, you can read this for 5 days, and then after 5 days you no longer, you got to request a new license, or it's just one example. So if we're enforcing stuff on the website versus on the client side, of course we have to deal with encryption, we have to deal, but solutions could change, and we can leverage existing APIs or existing components that either Azure provides, and we can decide to implement certain encryptions to move the content around. But because we have so many options, even though we could focus on the new product, if we want to extend that solution to existing legacy clients, at least we have to evaluate the proposal on the lens with everything in perspective that potentially could be a requirement down the road, right? So at a high level, I know it's hard. We can focus on what's easy, but re-architecting
So
be more complicated.
for the most part, the focus is on the new systems and where we have end-to-end control. I mean, basically, you can assume that we're talking about an Android client. I just don't see us. I mean, from a technical perspective, well, I guess from a technical perspective, there's the W3C just approved the DRM in the browser. So maybe in a few years there's going to be a solution on that. But right now, you don't really have a DRM solution inside HTML
Yeah, and that's
unless you
fine.
use proprietary.
That,
But I mean, to answer your question, our focus right now is Android-based DRM, full EPUB down.
okay, but should we?
For the next 18 months, I don't see DRM as a situation.
Okay, so should we focus then, dive deep into the newer solution, the new product that we're looking at, and maybe carve some time and just cover the architecture of that new solution. You know, what do you guys have
That's
in mind?
correct.
And then that way we'll go from there.
I mean, and basically there it's pretty well understood is we have an EPUB book. I mean, and frankly, we're not going to expire a book after a few days. But you know, let's leave that aside for now. You know, typical scenario that we're looking at right now is um, books get downloaded to the device, and then the device might not even be on the internet for a month or even 3 months because they're in some school that doesn't have connectivity in sub-Saharan Africa. So that's kind of the typical scenario for us. For you know, so right now we use Kindles, and you know these Kindles stay offline on some at the time.
So the purpose. So what would be the requirements for the DRM solution? What kind of what do we want to accomplish with the what are we asking the DRM solution do for us in this
But
application?
you know, so you know, it's as we've talked about before, is the main thing. You know, the main business requirement is what to go to a publisher and say, you know, the books that you give us are encrypted, you know, before they are sent to the device, and once they're on the device, they're using a well-known, well-established DRM technology that is secure.
So yeah, but what does that means from you're talking to the publisher and what are your assurances that you're giving to that what exactly are you telling them? Are you telling them I'm transmitting your material safely to the client, or are you saying I'm guarantee you that once that make it to one client, he won't be able to share with other students?
Well, you know, I wouldn't, you know, as we know, with enough effort, any DRM is crackable. So, you know, I wouldn't guarantee it. But, you know, I'm saying we're using, you know, industry best practices to, you know, you know, the EPUB encrypted. It can be decrypted on a specific device, but it, you know, if you take that file and you put it on a different device, it shouldn't work. I mean, basically, it should be roughly the same as a Kindle, or when you download on using your Kindle app on an Android device, or you're using your Google Books Play from the Google, or you know, on iOS, when you download a book to your iPhone.
Okay, so the basic
That's kind of the
yeah, so at a high level, you're telling, okay, whoever's requests this book, he's gonna download it to his application, and at least I'm guaranteed that that person is authorized to download that book. He may be offline, so he may read that book, you know, for 1 year, and that's okay. But at least we
Mhm.
know that we're guaranteed that the whoever we give this book to, he's authorized to use that book for, you know, forever.
Correct.
It's like a purchase, right? You in the Kindle, you buy a book, you have it on your profile, and you can read that forever, whether you're offline,
Exactly. I
online.
mean, it's like a Kindle or an iPhone or, you know, all those other book reading solutions. It'd be pretty much the same.
Okay, so and that's what I was trying to understand. What are we trying to? What is the promise, and what do we need to accomplish? That way, we can remove the complexities that we don't care about, right? The stuff that we don't, and try to simplify the solution to
Hmm.
meet the objective.
Yep.
Okay, okay, but okay. No, this is good. This is very useful.
Good.
Awesome, awesome. Now, is there any differences on the reader for the new system as opposed of the reader for the existing legacy? Or
I mean, there's some differences, but it's mostly UI related differences. So existing reader is more geared towards the general population. So somebody wants to read books and they use the reader, whereas our new reader is geared to classroom use. So for instance, when you start, we ask what grade you are in, so we can show you books that are appropriate for your grade.
okay, because here's one idea. I mean, we don't just to accomplish what we're talking about. For example, we have an EPUB storage store in the cloud, and we control the access to those files, right? And we can generate a token, access token, and we can have basic policies that we want. So long you have that token, you can download this file anytime. And then that's if we get that to the client and he come back and he provide that token and get that file from the storage, then basically, he can download it as many times as he want during the period that we can configure in Azure for that. It could be like a read-only, and this is a storage token. And then, we could, do something as simple as that, implement that in the architecture of retrieving that file. And what the files make it to the device, right? I mean, you store that locally, you render the content locally, and you're going to be protecting. You protect that however you want to protect that on the device. You protect the content in transit as you're downloading. There's a SSL. To make sure nobody's listening or tampering the information. You protect that through a secure channel. And basically, when you log in and you authorize in your system, you give that token that the storage mechanism. And I can lay down this basic idea to see if that would be sufficient for accomplish, a requirement. And we can brainstorm, right? And we can say, yeah, this may work or may not. And then we go from simple to complexity, right? Depending on.
No, I mean the scenario you described is pretty much what we want to do.
Okay.
The question is, as we discussed previously, we need three things. One thing is packaging the EPUB, is encrypting the EPUB pieces. The server that provides the token, and this is the client-side SDK that knows how to take the token and the file and decrypt it.
Yeah, but I'm gonna write something down. Just.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And then we'll discuss. I'll share the ideas, and then let's start brainstorming and poking holes into the solution, because I think this could be way more simpler that we're trying to make it. But let's start somewhere, right? And then let's go from simpler to complex as needed. And we can add all this other stuff. But I'll write something down and share, and then I'll start a high level and we start diving into different pieces. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, that's all I have for today. Let me work on that. Thank you guys so much for this time and this information. I have recorded all these videos, so I'm going to be able to share with the team or other people in the future. So again, thank you so much, and we'll sync up on our next meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you too, Gustavo.
All right, no problem. Thank you, guys. All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Have a good one.
Talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.